Hi everyone, and welcome to the comparison between the Enterbay 1/4 scale Batman Begins figure and the new Neca 1/4 scale Batman Begins figure. So that's the Enterbay on the left, Neca on the right. I'm going to be doing a full comparison from the tips of the rears down to the boots. So I'll let you get a really good look at what's going on. I'll try and be as brutally honest as I can, despite the fact that I've got a big space in my heart for this figure here. But I've also got a massive space in my heart for this one here because it is very, very awesome. Now I've put the stock cape back on the Enterbay Batman. Usually there's a nice black velvet cape on him, which is nice and black like the one Neca have put on here. We'll get into the capes in a minute, but that is the stock cape, just to make it a very sort of how he would be fresh out of the box. I also removed the black paint that I applied to the gauntlets to make them more shiny black. I was never too happy with the job I'd done on that, so I thought, seeing as I'm doing this comparison, I want you to see how he is fresh out of the box. I just went ahead and removed that paint today. Didn't take long, but that gives you an even more sort of, truer comparison rather than me showing you something that's been modified. Alright, so we'll start with the head, work our way down. Hope you enjoy the video and find it helpful. Here we go. Okay, so the Enterbay figure does come with 3 separate cowls and 3 separate mouthpieces. The reason it comes with 3 separate cowls is because each cowl has the eyes in a different position. One has them looking to the left, one has them looking straight forward, that's this one, and the other one to the right. And the mouth plates, they're pretty good. You got one where the mouth looks like he's talking. This one which is neutral, same as the one Neca went with, that's why I'm using it. And also a sort of very grumpy, frowning mouth, which is actually my favorite one. But for the purposes of this comparison, I went for the head sculpt that is most like the expression on the Neca one. Alright, so one of the things I wanted to do was show you one of the Enterbay heads right beside the Neca head sculpt. They are almost exactly the same size. Not exactly, but definitely close enough for this head sculpt to work on this body. So that is something that would work. The only problem is I tried to pull the head off the Neca figure and it really didn't seem to want to come off, so I don't really want to go messing with it too much yet. Give me a few days, I'll grow some balls and probably do it. And I am very curious because, like I say, the Enterbay figure does come with 3 of these, so it would be really nice to get one of these on this body. But don't get me wrong, Neca did a fantastic job. Remember, this is £100, this figure, not like 350 or 400, however much this is going for now. Neca stuff won't break the bank, so there is a difference in the the quality of the paint apps and stuff like that. But this is definitely one of Neca's finest pieces, I'll tell you that right now. I've got their Spider Gremlin, which is amazing. I've got the Alien Queen, that's another one. There's plenty of other figures they've done that have really surprised people with the quality. Yeah, and this is one that I think will become a favorite, definitely. But just move back a bit, you get another look at that sort of size comparison. We zoom in. Yeah, it's definitely in scale enough for you to be able to do that. Let's see if I can just hold that there and you can get a look. That doesn't really work, but you know what I mean. Whee! No. So there you go. Yeah, it's very tempting. If I could just get that head off. But also, it doesn't bother me that if I can't get the head off, I'm perfectly happy with that. I think they did an awesome job. Let's just zoom in. See where the makeup is around his eye? On the Enterbay figure, the makeup areas are more black, almost basically the same color as his cowl, which is movie accurate. And the Neca one, it's kind of in bright light, it kind of comes up purple around his eyes. So that's lacking a little bit in accuracy, just to let you know. Alright, so I've just zoomed in on the Neca figure's mouth area to give you a good look at the paint app. It's pretty decent. Again, for a Neca figure that is definitely not high end. I don't know what end it is. Mid end, I guess. But the lips are done really well. Looking good. We are zoomed right in on it, and I've got a bright light in his face. You have to bear that in mind. Let's focus here and look at the Neca one. Sorry, the Enterbay one. Obviously, just so much more realistic. Look at the skin. Look at that. Yeah, there's no contest really, absolutely no contest. Obviously the Enterbay paint apps are, you know, far more superior, and that's what you're paying for, but yeah, it's really night and day in that department. The ears on the Enterbay head sculpt are slightly longer than the ears on the Neca one. It's very subtle, but there is a difference. The Neca head sculpt just has slightly less long and pointy ears. It's not a deal breaker, but just to let you know, maybe you can see it more from the side. See that? But just a little bit shorter on the Neca one. Once again, the Neca one is that one there, and this is the Enterbay. Let me just give you the profile shot as well from the side. So, yeah, a difference in ear size or length. I think an important thing to mention is as well, I remember Enterbay Bill himself, I think he's still the head of the company over at Enterbay, but I remember when they were actually in the process of making this figure, people were asking on Facebook certain things. Will the figure be able to do this? Will it be able to do that? Will it come with this? Will it come with that? And Enterbay Bill himself, in these words, basically said, remember guys, this is an action figure, so it's going to have certain sacrifices. But he did, you know, emphasize the point that this is an action figure, and this is definitely an action figure. This is something that's heavy. It's heavier than the Enterbay figure because it's just solid plastic, but you could technically pick him up and, you know, be like a kid and go around and hit other toys with him, and he would be okay. You don't want to do that with this. It's a high-end collectible, but it is an action figure. The guy who made it, or well, the guy who surveyed the team when they made it and probably approved everything, he specified, or, you know, made the point very clear, it's an action figure. So I have to keep reminding myself of that while I'm doing this comparison, and when it comes time to tell you honestly which one is better. It's not always about looks, so it's a tricky one. Just wanted to say that. Now on the Enterbay head, the work on all the contours and lines of the cowl that give it the expression, they are very well done. Nice and sharp, really well sculpted. Although on this particular one, out of the three, you'll see just on his brow there, right in the center, see that little weird little dot thing? That's there. I don't think it's meant to be. Well, it's definitely not meant to be. But mine has it. Doesn't bother me because, you know, you have to get really close to notice it, but I've got another two heads, so there's always two spare. But yeah, the work and the detail and the sculpt, very, very good. And on the Neca one, just seems, maybe it's because of shinier finish, as it is definitely more shiny than the Enterbay one, which is more movie accurate, I would say, as far as the tone and the finish on the cowl itself. It had a slight sort of reflection in it, but certainly I don't think as much as this one. Wouldn't have made much sense considering his whole thing was that he was a ninja, or ninja inspired or ninja trained, ninja techniques. Shiny reflective surface probably wouldn't have been the best idea, but just to let you see, it is fine work, really nice texture on the cowl itself. See that texture? So that is there. Really good work on the brow and the nose and around the eyes. All the details on the side of the cowl. Let's just see a side profile. I think the Enterbay one would obviously have to take this. It's a more accurate kind of representation. It's not as shiny and reflective. It's the right tone of black slash kind of charcoal, very, very dark black grey kind of thing. It's definitely not like a jet black. It's not meant to be. That's why there's a contrast between the way the cape looks on him and the rest of his suit. But it is a very, very good sculpt by Neca. The shininess doesn't bother me at all. There are moments in the movie where it does look more shiny, than others. That is side by side. Just try and give you a few different angles, slightly above, very close. And they're both fantastic, and considering the price difference, the fact that they're this, you know, there's not much in it as far as I'm concerned, and considering the price difference between these two figures, that is quite impressive. We'll just take a look at the system to hold the cape in place, and that would be the cape pegs. I don't know if there was a technical name for these. I do have the books that tell you all about the suits and what the individual parts are called and stuff, but I don't think there was ever a name given to these, so we all call them cape clips. Now on the Enterbay figure, it's a magnet system. There's a magnet under the suit there and a magnet there, and that just holds it all in place. Cape's got a bit of dust on there. It's manky. Ew. But yeah, so the cape holding system for the Enterbay one does get under people's skin a bit. Me personally, I really like it because it's very simple to use, and you can even adjust very easily where these cape pegs are, and they're not in a very accurate position when you get this figure, so you will have to do that little mod yourself. And it just so happens I have a video on the channel of how to do it. If you just go to my channel and search cape clip tutorial or something, you'll find that. But the sculpt on the clips themselves, very nice. I don't know if it's going to pick it up, but there are these little indentations there, and they're meant to be there. Yes, the Neca figure does have those too. We'll get to the capes in a minute, but seeing as it is a section on cape clips, I'll just quickly mention the Neca ones don't seem to move much. They're really stuck in place, so I do kind of prefer that. We'll get to quality of capes in a minute, but it is definitely important to mention the colour, the blackness of the Neca cape is hella screen accurate, because you know, his cape in the movie was jet black, and the stock cape that comes with the Enterbay figure is definitely not jet black. It is black, but it's a very kind of faded black, so that wasn't really screen accurate, but you forgive it because of how gorgeous the cape hangs and how it feels. It's beautiful material, but just not black enough. Alright, so let's get a good look at the capes. You can see straight away there is a very clear difference between the blackness of the Neca cape, very accurate black, and the Enterbay one. Gorgeous material, hangs really nicely, easy to work with, and just a pleasure to have, but not black enough. So yeah, wingspan, pretty impressive. It is quite a thin material. You can't really see through it unless you have a bright light on the other side, but you can see through it if the light is bright enough. It's not the thickest material, but it is very nice, and it is a perfect length for if you see at the beginning of The Dark Knight, in the scene in the parking garage when he's about to jump down onto the van that Crane is in, you get like a full body shot when he steps up on the ledge and is about to jump. He looks down, but you do get a shot of the full, you know, body of Batman, and you see the cape come to exactly where it does on the Enterbay figure, which is just tipping the ground. The Neca material is like a kind of, they were kind of going for the impression that it's velvet, and it does look and feel quite velvety. Maybe it is a cheap velvet, I don't know, I'm not too clued up on velvet. I just know that the ones I've used before and the velvet I've cut has definitely felt more expensive than this, but it also is more shiny than this, and this has more of a kind of matte velvet kind of look. It does attract dust very easily, I've noticed, but Wayne's butler gave me some great advice. He said get some tape and put it around your hand and use the tape to take the dust off and stuff, so we'll be doing that. I know obviously this part of the cowl is meant to come over it like this bit, but I do prefer the more movie accurate kind of cape slightly over the edges here. See, it looks perfectly accurate here, it's just you can't really have the best of both worlds with this one. You have to choose, do you want the big long neck look with the cape under the cowl and have this look accurate, which no one's going to see anyway if you're displaying it from the front, or you're going to display it like this, because this is actually how it was in the film. So yeah, but yeah, the cut in the Enterbay cape is perfect. Even the way they stitched the parts of the cape together there's like a stitch here and another one here, and that is so it falls around him without bunching up anywhere. It just naturally, you have to tweak around with it a little bit, but it is cut in a way where it will just go straight down here. I'd have to mess around with it because it's been over his shoulders, but it will go, you know how you get this annoying bit here, the way it's doing this now? A lot of you will know about that, but it will actually go straight down from the way it's designed. But this one won't do that. You have to do a bit of trickery. But it looks great over his shoulders. Let's take a look at the suits. So the posability on this guy hasn't really stood the test of time, to be honest. A lot of people call it basically a statue, and I reviewed it a while back, some years ago now, and I defended it and showed it in a bunch of different poses. You can see that on the channel. I had him like doing punches and even maybe a few kicks, I'm not sure. I'd have to check, but he certainly was capable of doing some poses. But over time, those joints haven't really held up too well. Let's see, will he stay with his arm bent? I don't think he's going to do that at all. Doesn't feel like it. Yeah, it just kind of goes down to about there. I'll just make it short and sweet in this department. The Neca figure completely destroys the Enterbay one when it comes to posability, because you can pose this any way you want basically and leave it like that for as long as you want and not have to worry about anything suit-wise being damaged. Now this suit is made from some kind of vinyl, I think. It's very smooth, and I've had no damage on mine, but I've never really left him in an extreme pose. I've always kind of gone for this kind of very just statuesque, kind of just standing there. It's basically all you need for Batman, especially this particular suit. It does kind of look best just standing there looking moody. But yeah, when you first get him, you could probably get him in some cool poses like fighting stances and stuff, but over the years the joints, like on some other figures I've got, the joints just don't hold the pose so well anymore, and the arm will just kind of go back to the way it was. So yeah, but anyway, I mean, Enterbay went for a more realistic actual Batsuit here, you know, and they did a great job. The sculpt and the kind of vinyl they used, it doesn't attract dust. I never really have to clean this, and it's so cold and smooth to the touch. It's really impressive, and they certainly got a one-up on all the Hot Toys Batman Begins suits with the very sort of dust magnet rubber kind of technique they were using. Enterbay really stepped up the game on that one. But when it comes to posability, this one destroys it. However, can you live with the sort of ugly joints that you can see? I certainly can, because of the price point and the fact that I bought this solely so that I could put this in cool poses and really have some fun with it. And you can have fun with this one. You'll have fun taking realistic pictures of this one, but like I said, you can actually pick this up and do the whole action figure thing with it. As far as seeing what all the joints can do, I've done an articulation demo on the figure now, so it'll probably just be easier for you to watch the articulation demo. And what was the point of making it after all? So yeah, the belt is separate. It's not one piece with the suit, so you can move it up and down and adjust it, which is nice. The sculpt and paintwork on the belt is very well done. Again, for the price point, you have to keep reminding yourself this figure will only cost you about £100. So, very impressive. The belt on the Enterbay, the legendary belt, because when you get it stock out of the box, it's too tight and it kind of sits like there. And it's meant to be, you know, basically where it's naturally falling now, which is about there. Super crude, how I done mine, really crude, but it done the job. I just got some string and tied it up like that, just to, you know, make it fit better. No one ever sees it, it's out of the way. It's all good, does the job. Now the gauntlets, way more accurate on the Neca figure, however they are fixed, or one part of the mold, they don't move at all. Or I certainly don't think they do. Yeah, they don't seem to move. It is a soft plastic here, but nowhere near as crappy and as soft as the Enterbay ones. They're really soft. It's kind of ridiculous. Gauntlets have not been done in an accurate kind of black. It's much more shiny like the Neca ones in the movie. So both kind of a soft plastic on the blades, but Definitely the Neca plastic is a bit tougher feeling than the really flimsy feeling Enterbay ones. Not a big fan of the Enterbay gauntlets at all. Just need a repaint, I guess. I'll do that again soon. Here's a height comparison. Both just standing, no base. The Neca figure on the right, obviously taller than the Enterbay one on the left. Just zoom in a little bit for you. You can see what you want to see. Where his thighs sort of end at the top where they begin. So you notice how more or less his arms are in the same position on each figure, but the fists are in line with each other, yet the shoulders are higher on the Neca on the right, and the head is certainly higher than the one on the left, but yet the fists are in line with each other, which is strange. And if my Enterbay arms were even straighter down, then they would be longer, so yeah, that's weird. Yeah, there's your height comparison. Just go in a little bit for you. Pretty big difference in the boots. One, well, the Neca ones are very shiny and black. Very nicely detailed, really well done, but very shiny. The Enterbay ones are much lighter black, or more of a charcoal kind of finish on them. Details fantastic. They are nice and tough feeling, nice thick material used. Not 100% sure whether the boots are meant to be a more shiny black. I would have to do some research, and it was probably a better idea to do that before shooting the video. But to be honest, I was feeling a bit overconfident. I thought, I know Batman Begins like the back of my hand. Do I? Like, it's not really true, apparently. Well, if any of you guys out there know which boots are more accurate, shiny or not shiny and lighter, I don't know. And there's the knees on the Enterbay, and obviously the knees on the Neca one, they're like a double jointed knee. See, you've actually got a point there and a point here, or sorry, there and there. You really get a very satisfying double bend in there. And one of you dudes out there was kind enough to let me know in the comments that the leg does come fully out all the way if you do some maneuvering, a little bit of a tweakage, whatever. So that was good to know. When it comes time to do a full-on showcase video on this Neca figure, I will definitely try to get him in a crouching pose. So yeah, looking forward to that. But yeah, there is a pretty good knee articulation in the Enterbay figure, but again, the suit is going to hinder that, and over time, just like the arms, I'm sure it will hinder it even more. It's just the nature of the beast. See what I did there? Yeah. I'll just give you a shot of them facing each other. Pan up and let you just soak that up. See the difference in the color of the belt there? It's definitely meant to be more of a kind of bronze, like a, I don't want to say brown, certainly not, but you know what I mean? I mean, the Dark Knight belt and the Dark Knight Rises belt was a different kind of gold than the one in Batman Begins. It was definitely a darker gold, more of a sort of bronze, I don't even know how to describe it, but you know what I mean? There is a difference. But there is definitely quite a large difference in color there. I would say the Neca belt is slightly OTT in that color, maybe a little bit too much, whereas the Enterbay one is pretty much bang on. Maybe the Enterbay one could be slightly more bronze. It's more of a gold, but yeah, there you go. The way the cape drapes over the shoulders on the Enterbay, very natural. Really nice weight to that cape. The Neca one, obviously a lot cheaper material, but certainly their best cape to date, and very convincing as velvet. I'm perfectly happy to actually leave that cape on there, to be honest. I like the way you can maneuver it and put it over his shoulders or draped around him. Gosh, if someone was to ask me which cape is better, that's a tricky one, because the feel of the Enterbay and the way it drapes is gorgeous.
but it's nowhere near black enough, and there should be that contrast between the suit and the cape. It should be jet black cape with like the charcoal suit, and that just isn't the case with the stock cape. And it's a lovely effect when you do get a velvet cape on here. You really see the difference, and it makes a hell of a difference, a big difference. But Neca actually did a great job getting the blackness of the cape just right and the velvety feel and look. Unfortunately, because of how black and shiny the suit is, you don't get the contrast you're supposed to get. So if that cape was on here, you'd see what I mean. But, you know. So, which one wins? Tricky. Accurate colour. Better to work with. Lovely drape. So, I don't know. It's up to you guys. I'm not even going to call it. Think for yourselves. Alright, time to hit it from the back. That's how that looks. Really, really good design. Considering the accuracy of how everything's been laid out on the suit, all in the right place. Everything seems to be the right proportion as to how it was in the movie, but yet they've managed to work in all that articulation. Again, check out the articulation demo on the figure to see what I'm talking about, because you've got one point of articulation under the belt so he can turn, and another one here so he can pivot up and down and turn and tilt. And the arm articulation, you've got the joint here for turning the arm. You've got, you know, a really good joint on the shoulder, bit stiff, double jointed elbow, great wrist action, and the belt fits perfectly and is separate from the suit so you can move it up and down. All his you know, attachments for his belt, they're already on there and they are part of the sculpt. Don't seem to come off. Someone might surprise me out there and say, oh, they do come off, you just pull them off, but I don't want to mess with that. I think they're all stuck on there. Now the Enterbay one uses a magnet system for all the gadgets. Magnets are pretty weak. I had to re-glue all the magnets in my gadgets so they would stay on, and of course the belt was too tight. I had to do this to get it to sit properly. That's not good, especially for a figure this expensive. It's a minor thing, you can fix it easy peasy, so, you know, no biggie really. There's no joints or anything in the Enterbay one. It's all one suit, just like the real thing. It even has the flash on the sides, the same place as the movie suit did, and they actually had to cut away the excess rubber, or whatever it was, the flash they call it. It's all one piece. This bit is more of a shiny color than the rest. It's like the cowl, exact same kind of color, continues down his spine, which I never really noticed before. That's pretty interesting. And the bat butts. You can see the Enterbay Batman has a much fuller posterior, whereas the Neca one, he's clenching. The Neca Batman is clenching his butt. But this is a little bit for the Enterbay Batman owners out there, the guys out there who have had this for a few years now. This arm goes straight down by his side, just as you'd want it to. This arm used to go straight down flush by his side, and then one day I had him in a pose where, you know, like holding his cape out, arms spread, and I've never been able to get this arm flush again since then. It's always bugged me, especially when I'm wrapping the cape around him for that kind of moody look. I have to turn the gauntlets like that so they don't make the cape jut out, so it's a nice smooth drop. This side, obviously, because the arm goes straight down, it's gorgeous, but this one I always have to do some tweaking to try and make it look like it's more by his side. It's a shame. I was just wondering if any of you guys out there have noticed that with your Enterbay Batman. It's like one of the arms doesn't go quite flush by his side anymore. It always kind of sticks out a little bit. It's quite annoying. Subtle though. I mean, if I hadn't mentioned it, you probably wouldn't even notice. The Neca Batman's arms do go flush right down by his sides. They don't jut out because of the sort of V-shape muscle body or whatever. They do go right down by his sides, and I love when figures can do that. But you will definitely need a stand for this guy. He doesn't really like to stand up too well by himself. I think the Ben Affleck Batman they made before this one does stand up really well by himself from what I've heard. And he's got, you know, pretty good big feet and stuff. It's just, I don't know. He does like to lean forward and sort of fall. I've never dropped him, or he's never fallen, but I think he would. You wouldn't want to go off to work and leave him without a stand. Same goes for the Enterbay one. They're both standing on their own, just fine. But you would need stands for both, and obviously the Enterbay one does come with a stand. That's it right there. And that's a great placement of the stand because you can kind of put his leg in front of the stand and used the cape to conceal that, and then it looks like he's just standing there with no stand, which is awesome. Not like the horrible Hot Toys stand that comes right up the center and grabs his ghoulies. It's always a little bit uncomfortable looking. But the NECA figure here does not come with a stand. They really need to sort that out and start giving you a stand with the 1/4 scale figures. Maybe just charge an extra £10 or $10. Accessory wise, that is the Enterbay grapnel gun on the left and the NECA one on the right. There's not much in it. There's a slight colour difference in the bronze, but they are both very well made. The NECA one doesn't quite stand up to the quality of the Enterbay one on the left, but they did a damn fine job. Again, remember the price point. There is a slight warping shape-wise on the NECA one, but that might be able to, you might be able to fix that with hot water. But yeah, the Enterbay one obviously better quality, and I think that actually moves. Yep, that cocks like a shotgun or whatever, and you can actually plug in the hooky things. These are the accessories that come with the NECA figure. This one folds. The Enterbay one also comes with something like this. The Enterbay batarangs and stuff are plastic, just like this, which I thought was a bit cheap. I always use the Hot Toys batarang with my Enterbay Batman because it's metal. Awesome. So that's the Hot Toys 1/4 scale Dark Knight. That reminds me, I should probably show you a height comparison. There's a quick height comparison with the Hot Toys Dark Knight, just so you can see in descending order. We've got the tall NECA, not so tall Enterbay in the middle, and the very short Hot Toys down there on the left. Just let you see how they look individually on the shelf displayed. That is the NECA one, standing tall, very tall indeed. And now I need to get myself a black stand because that white bit is really sticking out. But that's how he looks there. And over there we have the Enterbay. I need to pose him up again, but that's the gist. Alright guys, so I'm going to wrap it up. I think I've pretty much covered almost everything. Please let me know if I've forgotten anything, and I can always cover it in a later video, or just let you know in a comment, whatever works best. To give you my final thoughts, which one is the best, there's such a huge price point here, and one is so much more an action figure than the other one. Even though, like I said before, Enterbay Bill himself, the CEO of Enterbay, did really specify this is an action figure. Don't forget that, guys. So it's not going to be that realistic because it still has to be a 1/4 scale action figure that you can pose. But this is definitely the action figure here. This is more of a collectible. I hate to say it because people have said it before, and I've defended the figure against what they've said. And you can defend it because it can pose, but you just wouldn't want to do that because of the suit. You'd probably end up with creases or wrinkles in the vinyl kind of elbow sections. And plus, he doesn't seem to want to hold a pose too much over time anyway, so he is kind of turning into a statue, if you see what I mean. Whereas this one, you're always going to be able to have fun with him. One looks more real than the other. Obviously, the Enterbay one, to me, I think, does look more like a real person in the suit. And a bit of a pain in the butt with focus, but there you go. Super real looking, incredible work on the mouth section and chin. Got 5 o'clock shadow. The whole thing. The eyes are a very accurate color, that hazel green color, and the makeup around the eyes is nice and black. And just really lifelike eyes. There's even a little bit. See where the white of the eye meets the eyelid? That tiny little section of pinky red. Details are insane, but the paintwork on the eye is fantastic, and the makeup around it really, really, really good. Just look at the lips and stuff. Look at that, crazy freckles, broken blood vessels, the whole thing. It's all there. 5 o'clock shadow, very subtle. Bale kept himself pretty clean shaven in the films, didn't he? So you come over here. Remember the price point. This is £100. That's like 350, something like that, £400 now. But yep, green eyes, a little bit greener than we'd like them to be. That's more of a Catwoman green kind of eyes. But the makeup around the eyes, not quite as black as it should be, but still good. Great work on the skin tone considering it's NECA, and the price point again. Lips are good, bit of stubble, very nice. So Brr. If you missed out on the Enterbay, you are in luck because the NECA 1/4 scale Batman is absolutely awesome and you need to get it. And if you have that, I think you can rest easy. You know, you may always, a part of your brain, be thinking, oh, I wish I had this, even though you have this now. But trust me, if you have this, you're alright. If you're a big Batman Begins fan, you'll be fine with this. If you're lucky enough to have got this when it came out and you didn't have to pay that much for it like it is now, that's great. If you can afford it, if you just want to say sod it, if I just pay the money, it's done and then I own it forever, that's up to you. So one, like I say, is turning into a statue more or less, and the other one is a full-on action figure. My phone has just told me that it's running out of battery any second, so I better wrap it up, guys. I'm sorry if I've been rambling on and just repeating myself. These kind of videos are kind of hard to shoot because there's so much to cover and you do so many takes and you start to forget, have I mentioned this yet, have I mentioned that? So I hope I haven't gone over the same thing again and again. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the other videos I've done on this guy in the past. Go way back on the channel because there's all kinds of videos on him, and recently the videos on him. So really appreciate your support. Hope you've enjoyed the videos. Let me know if there's anything I've missed out. Showcase video, major pose video coming up, full review, the final thoughts, and Deadpool by Hot Toys on the way as soon as that comes out, and the armored Batman from Batman vs Superman, and the regular Batman from Batman vs Superman by Hot Toys, all on the way, including I'm also getting the little Alien Free Ripley by Neca as well. So I've got some stuff on the way. Be with you soon. Hope you guys are all doing well. See you later.